Hey, adventurers. Got it used to this left and right thing. I hope you're doing well. This is Phoenix, and I am coming to you with a few more updates for today for our extended FAQ. Right off the bat, I will say and apologize that the extended FAQ has become much more than an FAQ. A lot of the stuff that's out here now are not really FAQ material by design or by nature anymore. It's more of just a repository of dev responses. So apologize for it becoming so big, but it's been a fun project. So today we've got a few different updates about Pax Dei from the developers. So we've seen a few responses from Grok and a couple other devs in the Pax Dei Discord. So I wanted to bring those to you by video because why the heck not? First update we've got are just a further confirmation of the fact that Mainframe is focusing on focusing on development. They're focusing on the PC version first, and then of course we'll aim to release more on additional platforms in the future. So one thing to note on this, initially my first thought was about Steam Deck. I don't have one, but I know that's been a common question, so that is an FAQ. But they have mentioned in the past that somebody or a couple people in the internal family and friends testing has actually been able to play Pax Dei on a Steam Deck, but it's been buggy. So who knows, maybe that's because it's in alpha still or pre-alpha, or maybe it's because there's actual Steam Deck issues. So interesting just to kind of see further confirmation that they are focusing on that PC version first. Next update we got was from Mr. Mittens, I believe. Yeah, Mr. Mittens. And it was about the modeling software, and that they primarily, or not primarily, I shouldn't say that because I don't know, but they are using Blender as well as Mayo and Modo. So I'm not really that fanboyish about modeling software, so that's more of just nice to know. Cool. The next update we got was from Grok, and this is probably the biggest one we've had for the day, and that was about weapon swapping during combat. So just to give you a little bit of context, in case you weren't around on Discord at the time, there was an ongoing conversation about weapon swaps. Should that be allowable during combat? Can you swap gear and weapons? Could you macro that to make it fast? Is there any delays? Are you restricted to only what's on your hotbar? All sorts of different questions. And so Grok actually came in and, not responding to anyone in particular, but provided the following context or following response for the context of that conversation. So he says, you can switch gear during combat, but there will be some restrictions related to this, which we'll talk about more later, which is, yeah, later, woohoo! I mean, it just means we're going to get more information, right? So the main thing to keep in mind is that simply swapping a single weapon or wieldable, which I think is interesting, in your hand isn't enough to switch your class. It's more multi-pronged than that, and the synergies of different gears, traits, and your skills is what defines your class. So while you can have strategies to build around some gear swapping, you can't completely change your strengths and weaknesses during a single encounter, and switching to gear that doesn't fit with the rest of the gear most likely benefits you nothing. So there's a lot to unpack here, but the gist of it, I think, is what similar to what they've already been saying, that there aren't going to be classes, your traditional mage or warrior or rogue, but there will be roles to fill, the holy trinity of healer, DPS, and tank. And so I think this is really getting into the meat of that a little bit. We're starting to see some more pieces where you're going to have weapons and gear, even offhands or wieldables. You're going to have different gear to wear, and those are going to synergize together and will basically help define what role you're filling. And so in the context of the conversation of gear swapping, it seems as if that even if you could switch, let's just use an example of a mage who's carrying a staff around, but the staff isn't effective against an enemy. Maybe they switch to a sword because it is. It's going to probably help them a little bit, probably be able to defeat the enemy, but it's not going to benefit benefit them very much. And I think this is more geared towards like that group encounter where maybe you're fighting a boss. Probably not going to do a whole lot more different than if you just stayed with the original role that you were filling. So I think it's interesting, because there's there's a spectrum of players from like myself, who's on the casual side of things, to the min-maxers and hardcore, hardcore players, the speedrunners, things like that. And so how does weapon swapping fit into that with, the way that the game is rolling out? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think that they've mentioned before, you can see a couple of the responses below this one, that weapon swapping has been confirmed. So, at the very least, we've seen that the hot bar, the action bar, I would expect to be able to somehow even if there's a delay, be able to switch weapons while I'm in combat. Maybe I have to, run away from the enemy for a little bit or something before I can switch, but I don't think you'll be able to like switch mid-swing of a sword to an axe or a mace, or I don't even know what else. I can't even remember what all we've seen for weapons right now. But interestingly enough, I think it'll be something that changes over time, just like everything else, because as we know, combat is a placeholder right now. So I think we've only really seen a bow shot and maybe the that one little snippet of them fighting that dark shadowy thing. So time will tell. Time will tell. All right, so moving on to the next update. This one was about survival. It's not really much an update, it's more, again, just confirmation of something we've already known, and that is that food will be a part of gameplay and will enable us to explore more parts of the game, but it won't be mandatory to stay alive. So again, confirming that this isn't going to be, that food isn't contributing to a survival element, but it will allow us to explore more parts of the game. And I thought that was the interesting piece of this one. So I recently started playing Valheim with a friend, primarily because Pax Dei will pull some inspiration from Valheim, according to the developers. So I wanted to check it out, kind of get familiar with it, because I think building is the one that what they mentioned would be, you'd feel at home, so to speak, with the building aspect. However, this brought to mind the food aspect of Valheim. So when you first start out, you have 25 HP or something, but you can pick up food, which will give you bonuses to your health and stamina, which thinking about if I'm going to go dungeon running, I'm going to probably need food to have more HP to be more survivable within that dungeon. So interesting. Again, something we already kind of know, but more confirmation that surviving is not based on food consumption. And the last update we got today was about audio, specifically the reveal trailer soundtrack, if that was available. And one of the developers said that it was bespoke music composed for the game, so nothing will be out there right now, but maybe in the future. So with that, I do want to wrap up and just say that I'm going to be on vacation starting Saturday, so I will be away from my keyboard and away from my computer, which is unfortunate because that means I'm going to miss stuff. But in that vein, there are several resources out there that are continuously updating their wikis and their sites. So if you're looking for that information, it's right up here at the top of the FAQ. I will, of course, once I get back, try to get things updated again. On that note, I hope you have a great weekend and a great week ahead. Good luck in real life. I know I need it. So hang in there, adventurers. May and mid-May is coming up. So one final thing, I did see that Thyveen, one of the mainframe admins or Discord admins, did put out a confirmation today that mid-May we are getting a screenshot gallery of some of the alpha testing structures that have been built so far. I don't know about you, but I'm really particularly interested in that, just to kind of see what the players are doing, what players are in there, to see what they've done so far with the buildings and structures, to see if there's any unique things that we haven't been able to see yet. So stick around for that in mid-May, and until then, have a great day and a great weekend. Take care, adventurers. Oops, wrong one.